How are we doing, folks? XL is finished. Sorry, SL is finished. The 12 volt wiring upgrade, but I'm still not happy about the wiring harness. I know I did repairs on it right in the very beginning, but there's an incredible amount of cable work inside there now that's redundant. Plus, I'm in a mind to future-proof it and put some indicators on it. So I know we've done the charging circuit. It's now separate. Oh, that's totally different. I was going to design a new wiring harness for it with the minimum amount of cable runs. A cable runs down the spine, so you got the minimum amount of cables going round the headstock into the headlamp. So let's have a go. So we know the first bit's going to be easy because it's the modification we did with a 12 volt upgrade with the 3-phase rectifier regulator. So let's do away with the lines because they'll only confuse the issue, and we'll use straight paper. So the generator, let's do the easy bits first. So we know we've got our 3 coils, and they're unusually wound, obviously for a specific purpose, and they're in like some form factor of series parallel. Voila. And then they just go straight to our 5-wire 3-phase rectifier regulator. So that's 3 in and 2 out. So fairly straightforward. So there's our 3 phases in, nothing else to think about. Obviously one side goes, and we can just use that bolt, the main engine, the main frame bolt near the battery as the earth. So if that's negatory. Positive out, and then that would go obviously to our now. It's now 12 volts, isn't it? I can't remember. I think it's 12 volts 3 amp hour. So again, we've got our negative, which goes to that point, same point on the frame, and we've got our positive, and this can connect straight. And that is the charging circuit, absolutely finished, and it doesn't need to feed anywhere into the harness or anything. It can be a standalone bit of kit because these have got their own cables coming off it, so that's a job done. So now we've got to push on, and halfway down the frame we've got our ignition switch, and it's only 2 wires, so it's just an on or an off switch. So that's our ignition switch. So we're going to come off our battery. We obviously now need to put an inline fuse in there, and we'll stick with our 15 amps main fuse, and unfortunately the ignition switch is kind of like halfway down the frame, so I'm just going to do it schematically at the moment. But what we can do is we can feed back from here, because we've got our brake light switch. I mean, we could run the brake light switch straight off the battery, there's no worry about that. You know, so what, you can put your foot on the brake and the brake light comes on when the ignition is switched off. In fact, let's do that. So we've got a twin filament bulb, so one filament, two filaments with an earth for the two filaments. So we just need a stoplight switch, so we're going to come from there, aren't we? So let's just bring our wire up and out, out, up and in. So that's stop and tail, isn't it? And obviously that's the stoplight filament, and that's the side or tail, is going to side stroke tail, and that's our brake switch. So there's no wires now running down the spine for that, which is a good thing. So coming up to the main ignition switch in that same area obviously is our 12 volt ignition coil. So obviously two connections. One is the live feed in, so we can actually make where the switch is going to join into that part of the harness halfway down the spine, and we can make a connection of that switch, and we can bring that feed down. So we positively fed the ignition coil, and just let me have a look on the bike for the condenser position and that before we just carry on. So we'll be back in a second. Just want to look at a few more bits and pieces on the bike before I draw anything else up. Yeah, happy. It's quite simple. I was just seeing where the condenser, I couldn't remember, the condenser's actually mounted on with the coil. So we can bring our grounding cable out. It's going to go to the points, so we can bring one out from there to our condenser, and then this wire goes down, and it obviously the points is just a switch operated by a cam. On one side goes to the coil and the other side goes to ground. Obviously we need a spark plug, and don't go mad drawing a spark plug. And obviously that bit of the spark plug is grounded. And then obviously we need our HT lead and suppressor cap. So that is still halfway down the spine on the bike. So now we're going to run up. Now we've got to get up into the headlight shell. So we need a few things coming off here now, don't we? So I'm not really sure. So we're now inside the headlight. So the idea is I wanted to put the horn on the forks. I'll probably do that before I start, see if I can sit it in a nice place, because the otherwise it means running 2 wires back onto the frame, because the horn's round about where the ignition switch is somewhere on the spine of the frame. But if we keep it on the forks, you've saved 2 wires and a load of running back and 2 down the spine with cables, and they'll be quite neat on the frame instead of being on the forks instead of being on the frame. I think wire-wise neater, and I am going to buy, I've already picked it because I've still got the 6-volt coil on there. I know I said we were going to keep it because it does work with 12 volts, but I'm going to get my horn of choice, which is a YBR 125 horn, which I generally fit on refurbished bikes because I think they're nice, got a bit of 305 stainless on them, they're light, and yeah, they're easy to connect, 2-spade connectors. So we could put the horn on there next. So let's run a feed off here down to the horn. So here's our horn, our klaxon, or whatever you want to call it. And one terminal there, another terminal here, and that just goes up now to the handlebar switch. And all that happens is when you press the handlebar switch, it gives it a ground and the horn blows. So that's the horn done. So now we're looking at the side and the headlights, and this is really weird. I've never yet found a drawing. I mean, this bit seems right. This is wrong, doesn't match mine. So this logic on this is wrong. So I really struggled with this when I was modifying the wiring, because it brings 2 of the phases up into the headlight. So the headlights kind of like run half direct AC off the generator and half off the battery, because they make a connection there. So there's quite a lot of redundancy in this cable work, and that's the stuff I was not happy about. But that's just me being a bit of an idiot probably. But anyway, what I might do is just let me have another quick look on the bike at the logic for this switch, because it's not the same as this one. It doesn't have the kill switch anyway, but this lighting and side light logic is different. So I'll be back in a second when I've had a quick look and we've worked something out. Okay, this is the logic, and it's weird. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires coming out of that headlight switch on the right hand side of the handlebars. The 6 cables are a black, a brown, a blue, 2 whites, which can be confusing, and a yellow with a red tracer. So what we're not using, which don't seem to do anything unless this somehow linked into this AC connecting to the battery to give the extra power to the lights, we're not using the brown, so that's out the frame, and we are not using the yellow with the red tracer. Now that one goes to the push button as if you were going to short out the ignition or blow the horn or whatever, but the horn's on the other side on this bike, so they're redundant. The switch layout itself is, you've got a little black lever that you slide along, and it's got an off position, then it's got a first position which is the dip, so you move it to that position and it gives you dip, and then you push it onto the next position and it gives you main. But there's 2 rows of switches, and it also switches another set behind, so they're like layered on top of each other. And the way that it goes is, black is a feed in for the dip and main beam, so first position goes to the white from there to there, which gives you the white feed out to the bulb, which is dip, and the second position switches that one off and it goes onto the blue and it gives you the main. And then obviously you have a small lead off the main, so you get the little light lighting up and the instrument cluster to let you know that the main is switched on. And running behind it here is this 1 position switch which stays on in both these 2 instances. So in the off position it's like that. When you move it to the dip it closes, and when you move it to the next position it stays closed again. And that's the white, the other white, and the yellow. You just have to make sure that you don't get them 2 mixed up. So it's an unusual way to do it, but now that I've worked out the fuzzy logic, it's not too bad. So they're all worked out, and so black feed in, blue to the main, white to the dip. Let's call it white number 1, and there's a white number 2. And for the side lights, yellow in and white. Oh, I'm just wondering if I piggybacked. No, you can't do it. Oh, or could you? If you connected, no, because it switches off on main beam. Shut up, you're talking rubbish. Keep it as simple as it is. Yellow or white in and yellow or white out. Either way round, it doesn't matter. It's a make or break. In the off position it's in that position it's that, and in either that or that position it's on. And the reason it's done like that is because if whichever one you put on, it's going to light up that little indicator bulb every time that tells you when the main beam's on. So you've got to separate the side lights completely from the dip and the main. So it's unusual it doesn't have a side light. It has obviously a rear tail light, but there we go. So that's the fuzzy logic, and that's that bit done. So let's just switch you off a second while we regroup, and we'll finish off our drawing. Yeah, just looking on the bike then, something else I've forgotten that should have reminded me. We want a neutral switch, so that's another wire down the spine, isn't it? So we've got on the bike somewhere, let's draw him here. So we've got our neutral, nothing to do with neutral on the battery, neutral gear indicator, which when you're in neutral gives a ground signal, and that is going to run along the spine into the headlight. Then it's going to go up into the handlebars. No, it's not. It's going to go up into the speedo or the rev counter light. And also we need a feed to it. So I've got to feed the bulb. So let's go up to the bulb. Here's our bulb filament. And there's our neutral indicator bulb. That's one wire I never thought about. now we can come on to the lights, can't we? So let's do the side lights. So we've actually got a few things going on with the side lights, haven't we? We need to light him up. We've also got the rev counter and the speedo with the two backlight bulbs in there, so they can come on. Let's draw the bulbs first. So I've got one in one rev counter and one in the speedo. Down, earth, down, earth. Now we want the switch for the side light. Which would be that section of the bulb of the handlebar switch. That's going to come out. It's going to go up and feed that bad boy. And then it's going to link across to the one in the rev counter. So that's the side light switch. These are the instrument lights, but we need to get to there, don't we? So we're going to come off here, we're going to go up, we'll come down because we can, and side lights are done. So getting close now. And I've only got 3 wires in the spine. Can't be true. Okay. Now we need the other logic, don't we, for the headlight. So that was, again, it's 2 filaments. Okay, ours is LED, isn't it? But same rule applies. And we've got obviously an earth. And we've got a dip and a main, so we can have our 3 position switch. So off in the middle, dip on the main beam, depending on which way we go. And we need to pick that up from there. So let's go this way with this one, and we can also run, because we need our high beam indicator bulb. It's got an earth. That's the dip and main beam switch. And then that one out there. So it's close. But I just want to put I was thinking of doing something, I wanted to put indicators on it. So just let me have a look at that. And just have a look at an indicator circuit that we can just overlay on this. So be back directly. So I looked at a couple of indicator circuits, and I have got a flasher relay. So I don't know what this was off. I think it was off either my SRX 400 or one of the 250 Yam or something, because I was forever leaving the indicators on after I'd turned. So I bought one of these with a buzzer inside it, so you get the audible alarm when it's so I've just been a bit naughty, because I couldn't look at this. B and L. So it could be bulb or it could be battery, and L could be live or it could be lamp. So I thought I'll have a look inside, see if you can tell me which is going on with the logic. I can't actually, but obviously we've got a little MOSFET there, MOSFET. We've got a little timer chip, and we've got a few diodes, a couple of protection diodes and a couple of resistors. So I could mount that outside if I silicon round this, if I clip this back in and silicon that would stay outside. I mean, I'm not sure where it was on the bike, might have been under the seat or something, I don't know, but it might fit in the headlamp shell. But either way, with only 2 connections, I was just trying to work it out. So I'm going to go Chinglish, and I'm going to go battery and lamp. So obviously very low 0.1 of a watt to 150 watts. Obviously, you know, if you're not going to be putting incandescent bulbs in, but they're going to be the LEDs anyway. So I've got my 12 volts were on, so I'm going to go battery. It'll only be a small fire, and this is just, I don't know what this is. It's probably nothing. 4 watts. So this is going to work. So that's my ground. That's my to the bulb, and then this coming out is going to be ground, isn't it? That one. No, that's right. That is right. So that should. Look at that. There you go. Nothing in it. I can read, because I'm old enough, I can remember the flasher units being the bimetal strip that worked on 2 times 21 watts plus the indicator bulb, and if one bulb went, because the resistance changed, they would flash like mad. Obviously, as long as you don't exceed the 150, you can chain as many LEDs in with this, and the little timer just sets the 1 second on, 1 second off, or whatever it is. So it'd be easy to do the circuit. So happy with that. Switch him off. He said. And we can draw this, so it's only going to be a very simple circuit, because nothing in it really. The only downside is I'm going to struggle with the repeater or the warning bulb or whatever you want to call it, because on the instrument cluster this bike's never had indicators. So I've just bought the left hand indicator switch, I don't know what it's off, CB 150 or something, I don't know. So I'm going to have to swap that out. So it'll be simple enough to wire it in, and I've ordered the horn as well, because that horn is off another bike that I'm already work in progress bike, which I'll have to put back on. And I might just buy one of these with the audible sounder in. Then at least it might be like an illegal. It might be a legal requirement to have an indication, a visual or audible indication that you've got the indicators on. Anyway, there we go. So let's just get rid of this junk and we'll finish off the diagram. Okay, so now we can add our final bit in there. Obviously it's going to add another 2 wires down the spine, but we got plenty of latitude there. So again, I need to pick up our live feed, out, down, and if we draw our left or right handlebar indicator switch, so one way obviously right, so we'll have this as the, we're looking on the bike, that would be the right hand, that would be the left hand. Be handy if I put this in there though, wouldn't it? So that is there, and that obviously doesn't exist. And that's our flasher unit, and it was B. It was B was in and L was out. I did try it the other way round. It is diode protected, you can't blow anything up. So now, whichever side we swing our little switch, we come out, and obviously either side of the headlight shell, we've got our first bulb, and that's right hand front. Same on this side, upside down earth, there you go, the earth is upside down, and that's left hand front, isn't it? And then down the spine to our final two, that's right hand rear and finally left hand rear. So what have we got? It's all going to be in the front, isn't it, that? So 1, 2, 3, that's just the HT lead, that stays, 4, 5. So you can do it with 5 cables, and I plan to use 7-core trailer wire, multi-core, and I'm going to keep it solid with the insulation on all the way up to the main, from the main switch up round the headstock into the headlight will be, you know, fully as it is, as the cable is naturally, and then running back this way I'll take the insulation off because I need to do this bit of stuff and run some stuff back, so it's going to work out. So my indicator switch is ordered and on its way, and my horn is ordered and it's on its way. Cables I've got, might have to get a few more connectors, but it's going to happen. So the next time on the next vid we'll actually be building it into the bike, so we'll catch you on the next one, which will be the fitting and the testing of the new super harness with the minimum amount of cable runs, and obviously be a lot more reliable. And I think, you know, even though the harness is still quite good, there is a lot of redundancy in there with all those cables, and it is very confusing, but this will be simplified, a lot more reliable, be spot on. That was the brake light switch, wasn't it? No, that's neutral indicator, sorry. Neutral indicator. Okay, and that's it. We'll catch you on the next one, guys, for the building, testing and completo with indicators. See you later, folks.